Hello everyone, this is Ashburn. Today we are looking at this replay between Maka Prime playing as the Blue Terran against OGS, some Korean characters I cannot read, playing as the Red Zerg. And what we have here is a table chart showing the total span between the two players. And many people are saying that StarCraft is a very macro game with a lot of emphasis on macro. So the question is, will you be able to tell who the winner will be simply by looking at this chart? And we can clearly see that the Blue Terran Maka here has outperformed the Red Zerg in all three aspects, be it the economy, the technology, or the army. Another factor I'd like to share with you is the total army composition. Now the game is basically won or lost at the end in one major battle, and here is the stats of that final battle. And at the center is a summary of the army composition in terms of minerals, gas, and supply. So the question here is, would the Terran going to tier 2 with these units such as siege tanks and Hellions causing lots of AoE damage to the Zerg, would the Terran win? Or would the Zerg simply win by having a larger supply count? So with these factors in mind, let's jump right into the game. So over here we have Maka Prime spawning as the Blue Terran in the bottom left, and we have these Korean players spawning as the Red Zerg in the top left. And I'm speeding up this game because this is not a video whereby I'm discussing the battle order, the build order. This is not a video commentary about the majority of the gameplay. This is simply about the final battle. But one of the things I do like to highlight is the choke over here, the Terran choke. Now, anytime a Terran is playing against a Zerg, you have the option to wall this choke off with two larger buildings, or walling off this way with you have supply depot and the reactor with relatively lower life. The Terran player is simply inviting a Bailing Bust. But as we can tell, in this game, the Zerg player is not going Banelings. No Banelings are made in this game. Yeah. So another thing I'd like to point out over here is if I can stop at about the 5 minutes 30 seconds mark, sometime around here. Now, about the 5 minutes 30 seconds mark is the point whereby if your opponents are playing standard build, regardless of what race they are going, 5 minutes 30 seconds mark is generally around the time whereby the first wave of your opponent's army is will appear at your doorstep, wreaking havoc at your mineral lines. So generally, when I'm creating any build orders, 5 minutes 30 seconds mark would be the time whereby I check to see if I have a sizable army up. And at this point, we can see that the Zerg player have 8 roaches and 2 lings, whereas the Terran player only has 2 marines. The choke is fairly weak, and at this point, if the Zerg were to go Bailing Bust, the Terran could be in quite a lot of problems. We do see that siege tanks are coming up, and siege tech has just started. So let's just continue with the game. So probably at about the 6 minutes mark will be when the Bailing Bust is happening. So I guess if Zerg didn't go roaches, which the roaches are here camping at the doorsteps of the Terran base, if the Zerg player were to go with Bailing Bust, the Zerg player might have just won the game here. But again, the Zerg player didn't do that, and that's just a point I'd like to share. And over here, if I can slow down the game a bit, we have the Hellions having a field day over here, microing, and the Zerg player sending one link at a time to the Hellions. One thing I would like to note is equal resources of links actually do kill equal resources of Hellions if the Hellions do not micro. So anytime you are using Hellions, you have to micro. As you can see here, the Corporal probably going to be promoted very soon. Hellion has already done like 8 kills, 9 kills now. Probably going with 10 kills. Yeah, he's a sergeant now, and will he get the 11 kill? Yep. and before the Hellions finally die to the pool of roaches camping over here. But those micros are not the main focus of the game. As if you can tell by the replay bar over here, we're coming to the end of the game, and the massive battle that I was talking about is about to happen. Both armies converge. So I'm pausing the game here. We have the Zerg player with about 8 roaches over here, 8 links over here, 24, 25 links over here, and special attention to this one link camping by the watchtower, creating vision for the Zerg player. You can just look at the vision. So one point to note is with this link here, he's providing vision for the Zerg player all the way until this choke over here. And so what this does is it allows the Zerg player to tactically to make tactical decisions based on what he sees. And what happened here is the Terran player sieged the tank, and the Zerg immediately moved the roaches behind, got one hit off. But what happens after this is the most significant turning point of this entire replay. The Terran player, seeing that the Zerg roaches have fall back, unsiege the tanks, and all this happens within the vision range of the Zerg player. The Zerg player sees that the tanks were unsieged and decides to move back, collects all the links, and do a flank position on the Terran player. And let's see what happened over here. The Zerg player completely obliterated the Terran player. It wasn't even close. The entire Terran army is wiped out, and if you can just do a check here, we still have all the 8 roaches, none of them died, and we still have about 24 links. And I guess the Terran player just left the game shortly after. So if you were to look at this, what happened, right? If you were to look at this replay, you might just be wondering, hey, is this army composition overpowered? I mean, is it even worth it going to tier 2? Because the Zerg player can simply just swarm you with so many links and roaches and win the game. So why don't we just go and check that out? So over here is the unit tester. It has the exact same unit composition, and we are just doing a simple auto attack just to see between the two army composition which is the stronger one. So the first test, we can tell the Zerg player simply obliterated the Terran army. It wasn't even close. But what I would like to do here is to redo the test again, and the only difference here is I'm sieging the tanks, nothing else. I'm not even doing any other fancy micro after this. I'm not asking the tanks to target the roaches or anything. I'm just sieging the tanks and auto attack, and you can see that in this second scenario, the Terran army won, and the Terran army is able to wipe out the entire Zerg army with 3 tanks remaining. And this right here, could have been the outcome for Makar if he had not unsieged the tanks so quickly, and if the Zerg player have not had this one lone link that's still hanging by here by the Zalnaga watchtower, providing the vision. And this video, I hope, illustrates the tactical aspects of StarCraft, that is not as macro as a lot of people is saying it is. With just one split-second tactical decision at in the game, you can have 2 different outcomes, whereby the Zerg wipes out the Terran army, or if the Terran army wipes out the Zerg army. So I hope you find this analysis interesting, and see you next time.